Well, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started on unlocking unbelievable retail sales in 2025. And we are super excited to have partnered with Vital Planet and to bring you this content today. You can see the Vital Planet team is here, and Brenda Watson is with us. So we're very excited to have her with us today. And one of the reasons that we decided to partner with Vital Planet to bring you this type of marketing information is because we did an interview with Brenda earlier. And if you have not seen that, please go check it out on Natural Products Marketer podcast. But we had an interview with Brenda on our show, and such great information about small things that you can do to grow your business. And the more that we talked, the more that we realized that we were aligned in our passion to serve the independent retailers and the fact that they have a great product formulation for your customers. So no one's going to be disappointed if they're buying Vital Planet products. And we know they support the independent channel. And on top of that, they're always innovative and bringing new things to the table, whether it's pet or new fish oil products or a new formulation of probiotics. These people are on top of what's next for the industry and what can help you and your business grow. So we're very excited to partner with them for all of those reasons. And now I'll turn it over to Brenda.
Hi, thank you everyone for, I want to first thank though Tina and Amanda, and thank you for doing this, and you're absolutely wonderful in helping these independent retailers and also the vendors and Vital Planet to come together and be able to start working together to create a path for people to move forward in the brick and mortar independent retailer. It's been somewhat of a travesty over the last years to watch sort of a lot of things happen that we felt like maybe we didn't even know where we would be as an independent retailers like 5 years ago. We never knew were they going to be even in existence, and that would have been a tragedy. And I think that today we see that the brick and mortar independent retailer is going to thrive, survive, and thrive. And that's the word I see out there. And that's been a lot of my personal experience of walking into these stores now. I've been in a lot of stores, and I see now the passion still there. The destination is needed for people to be able to go and get help with their health. And I've always known that that was the sort of the destination of last resort for a lot of people who are ill, like me, who went into a health food store in 1989, 88, 89, and because I had no way forward with my health with traditional medicine. And when I walked in that health food store back then, of course, there wasn't a lot there, but still, I got the help I needed. I got the information. I just asked, give me something to read, give me something to do to help me change myself and get my health better. So I know the importance of keeping this industry alive. And I think that we all need to come together cohesively and move forward as a group and interact with each other, teach each other what we need to do to move forward, take all these ideas that we come forth, implement those that we can, and move forward as a group, because we are important to the world. And that is true. We are a very important resource that people need, not from getting on the phone, not from getting on the computer, but people to people. Touching people is where we have the best results. So I want to thank again Tina and Amanda for the work that you're doing. And we're here at Vital Planet to support you and to support the independent retailer. Now, if you look at some of the things that happened, you know, I've been in here 30-something years, and coming back into that time, I walked into the health food store and didn't know anything, and found solutions to my health issues then. I've always been a supporter of the stores. And so during the last years in the industry, I saw the transition that we were going through with the Amazon business and all of that. And so when Vital Planet stepped back into the industry, I think the most important thing that we saw was a little bit of the fear that we saw in independent retailers. And are we done? Are we over? Is this over? And I just cannot see that in my vision. So what we wanted to do was to help you guys as much as possible by implementing a 0% MAP policy. And I knew, because we were back new, and I knew that that would be very easy for us to do because we don't have all that fluff to get rid of. We started off with a 0 MAP policy. And we are very, very committed to that. We've actually got new technology that we have now that we can sort of focus on and find out who these people that try to overcome our 0 MAP policy, and we're working on that diligently. So we are a 0 MAP policy for anybody, any store, anybody, and that means that we control our direct distribution. We do not sell to Amazon or third party. There is an Amazon site, that's us. Okay, so there's no third party. There's no one in there to take your business. We have no sales to food, drug, and mass or club retailers. We're totally focused on the natural products industry. We do strive to help the brick and mortar through education. The beauty of a store is that you do talk to a person and you have people coming in there in need. And because education for the employee of the health food store, it's critical, because you know why? Science moves fast. And when you're in the nutrition world and in the supplement world, to keep up with everything that's happening ongoing is a job. But we, as the vendors, it's our responsibility to follow that science and be able to take that science and educate the employee in a health food store, so that when that person walks in the store and said, do you know about that? Or do you know about that? Yes, they know about it and they've been educated. So our commitment is not only to 0 MAP, it's also a commitment to education, so that your store employee can consult with people, can give personal service. We're very committed to that. And we want to see the independent retailer give us our opportunity to educate, whether it's through a Zoom, whether it's through our people that go into the store, whatever way, even on the phone. We're here at Vital Planet to educate the store employee and to keep them up on what's going on in the science of nutrition. And also, along with that, one of the things that happened early on in my tenure in the industry was I did a lot of consumer lectures. And what I saw in a doing a lecture in the audience, I would see question marks in their eyes. And I realized that they need to be answered. So one of the things that we set up previously that we currently have at Vital Planet is the ability for an employee of a store or a customer of a store to call us up and talk to a real person that's not in a loop, that they never speak to anyone. So we have an unparalleled customer service department here of real people who are educated also, like some of them in here 20 years. And so your ease of just picking up the phone and calling us, if you've got a person in the aisle that you need a question to an answer to a question very quickly, or if they're on a cleanse, let's say, or they're taking a probiotic and they don't understand it, whatever it may be, you've got at your fingertips with that phone to call us up and get immediate service and answers to your questions. So those things, the 0 MAP policy, controlling these online sales, striving to give you more resources that you need to keep those customers. What we want to do is keep that customer. And the way you do that is trust. They have to trust you. And so when you have an employee in the store and they can answer those questions because we or some other company has educated them, that builds that trust. And that person will come back there every single time. And on top of that, we have an ongoing customer support line for you guys. So I want to thank you all for supporting Vital Planet, and we intend to be here for you ongoing.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda. And one thing I'd like to add is, just one more word of appreciation for Tina, Amanda, and the Natural Product Marketers Group. And I'm really hopeful that some of you retailers out there will be able to pick up a tip or learn a tool from this call that you can apply to your business that can help you, increase customer traffic, increase basket size. The one thing that we all have in common, everyone on this call, all of our livelihoods are contingent upon the independent retailer and that natural products industry thriving. And so what I love about what Tina and Amanda are doing is they're bringing practical tips and tools to retailers, independent retailers specifically in the natural wellness industry, for ways to drum up new business, and at a time when really there's a lot of retailers out there just trying to survive. But we are seeing many, I would say hundreds and hundreds of independents across the country that are thriving. And Tina and Amanda have some great examples of retailers they've worked with recently, and they're going to share some of those success stories. And so just, tune in, pay attention, and hopefully you guys will take away some good stuff from this call. And we're really excited to be partnered up with you guys, Tina and Amanda. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris and Brenda and Vital Planet team. We're really excited to be part of this. And before we get started and dive into the content around growing in 2025, I just want to put before you a story we hear a lot of times when we talk to people about what marketing activities are going on in their stores and how they might be concentrating on growth, and see if this sounds familiar to you at all. When you get ready to put a marketing plan together for your next year, your next quarter, it's more of a scramble, because there are things like an air conditioner needs to get replaced, or you've lost an employee and you've got to figure out how to replace them because someone needs to serve the people who are on the floor, or you figure out you've got an inventory problem. You've been receiving things incorrectly. Your system isn't calculating things right. There's some kind of system or process that you have to fix. If that sounds familiar to you, then you have had an air conditioning problem before. And what happens in that situation is it takes you out of growth mode and into survival mode. And so the things that we'd love to cover with you today are really 3 paths to help you thrive in 2025. We want to move you out of surviving and into thriving for 2025. And we're going to do that by talking through a few different case studies. And these case studies are talking through brand replacement, brand promotion, and bringing new categories to your store. And brand replacement might actually sound pretty scary. When we start talking about brand replacement, you're thinking, that's not a growth plan. That sounds like a plan for things to go down. But there's actually ways to grow when you're moving old things off the shelf and pulling new things in. And we're going to talk to you about that today. But before we get started, we should introduce ourselves. I'm Tina Smith, and I am the founder of Natural Products Marketer. I formed this company about 10 years ago, and about 8 years ago, I met Amanda Ballard. And I'm so grateful that I did. She was working with one of our clients right now and pulled me into the marketing team with that group. Prior to forming this company 10 years ago, I also worked at a mid-sized company in Atlanta where we worked with marketing for big brands like Acura, Honda, Care, Land Rover, Volvo, and we worked on marketing those products inside retailers, car retailers, and we did it through distributors. So what I'm very familiar with is this path for a lot of people coming to the table and trying to figure out these win-win-win solutions in retail settings, which is exactly what we're working with you to do today. We want to make this a win for you as a retailer, a win for the manufacturers, and of course, a win for the customers. And so I have a lot of experience in doing that. And then 10 years ago, formed this company. And then just a little bit ago, I asked Amanda to come join my team because I felt like she can make a bigger difference serving a lot more retailers rather than just serving one at a time. So Amanda, give a little bit of your background.
Yeah, so I've had the honor of serving some of the best independent retailers, I think, in the country, working with them one at a time, and also through some consulting work that I've done in the past as well. And like Tina said, we met about 8 years ago, and literally from the moment we met, I brought her everywhere that I went because she was so good at what she did. And so it was just a natural fit for us to work together full time. So super excited to be with you today. And just a thank you again to Vital Planet for helping us make this happen. But let's dive into the 3 paths to thriving in 2025.
Right. And when we talked about brand replacement, I bet some of you were curious because we hear a lot of times that brand replacement is top of mind for people, retailers in this industry. And one of the ways we know that is because when we come to work with a retailer, we take a full strategy approach to working with retailers. And that means everything, including a review of inventory, brands, SKUs, revenue, pricing strategies, and margins. Vital Planet's talking about a no map policy. We're taking a look at all of these things just to see how different products and brand lines and SKUs are making you money or might be costing you. We also take a look at things like area demographics and your competition. So as an example, we worked with a smaller retail store in Georgia and realized in their area, they mostly had African-American people in their community, but nowhere on their website and none of their marketing materials and none of their product mix actually was there supporting African-Americans in their community. So just taking a 30,000-foot view of just their area and saying, wait, could this be one of the reasons that this isn't working as well for you as you might have imagined? And so we were able to change some of that landscape for them so that customers can actually see themselves using the products and coming to that store. We also look at things like store layout. If you've heard us talk at all, you've heard about the customer journey. How do people get to know, like, trust you, try, buy from you, repeat buy from you, and then refer their friends as evangelists for your brand? And then we look at all types of marketing activities. And you see this little graph over here to the side. There's a marketing assessment that we do, and we're sort of scoring on each of these marketing activities as we take a look. And when we do that, one thing that comes up over and over again is that there are some brands that are typically on your shelves that are not serving you well. And why? Why would there be a reason that a brand is not serving you well? Well, maybe there's a formulation change because private equities come in, they need to make more margin, something, it looks the same, but it's not going to perform the same for the customer. Maybe they've gone mass or online and have prices that they're offering consumers that you can't even get as a wholesaler. That's something that we see a lot of times. Your margin doesn't work that way for you. If you look more expensive to the customer than something that they can find from the manufacturer themselves online, it's just not going to work. Or maybe they're just no longer aligned with your values. Or maybe you know that they're sourcing their product differently than before. And then once in a while, things just disappear. Their products are just no longer available, or maybe they're never even in stock. And you're always having to put this tag on your shelves that says manufacturer out of stock. So that happens once in a while, but when it's a repeated thing over and over again, it actually gets your consumers upset that they can't find what they need. So those are reasons that you might want to do a brand swap. And now I'm going to turn it over to Amanda to talk about ways that we've seen brand swaps really work and grow the business while this scary thing is kind of happening for you.
Yeah, thanks, Tina. So I want to walk you through two different retailers and the different approaches that they had to making these brand swaps away from certain brands and actually switching to Vital Planet. So this first retailer that we're going to look at, they made a switch to Vital Planet as their primary omega-3 recommendation as well as their probiotics. And what they did is they did a lot of focus on on-shelf displays, end caps, signage, and education. That was kind of their strategy for doing this. And this started back in January of last year. So you'll see here that they had a half end cap display. They did about $7,000 in sales, nothing to complain about. But then fast forward to January of 2024, and they increased their Vital Planet sales $20,000. And as soon as I saw those numbers, I was like, one, that's amazing. And two, how did we get there? And so looking back at the things that were done over the course of that year, it was consistent shelf placement, really good shelf placement, top shelf, really, really good positioning there, signage, great end caps. And these are multiple different stores here. Doing signage like looking for this product that's no longer available, try our new favorite omega-3 instead. and highlighting those things, making it super easy for customers to make that transition. And then if we go back and you see for April of this past or of this year, they're still staying sticky with their sales. They, even though, you know, you're probably not going to get your January sales in April again, they're still doing really, really well. And they're using things like social media videos, like emails, consumer lectures, and making sure that their staff are really well trained on the talking points for making these transitions from one brand to another. And that is key, is knowing exactly why this brand is no longer available in your stores and why this brand is the one that you're going with now. We'll look at another store that had a different approach, and they focused more on short-term aggressive promotion. So this store, they're very well known for having some of the best pricing in town, and they do some crazy promotions and do really, really well. So we're looking back at March of last year again. They did a BOGO 50 on the entire Vital Planet line. They did really well. And then something happened between May and June of last year, and they made a decision to cut their #1 probiotic line completely off the shelf, gone forever, never to hit their shelves again. And they decided Vital Planet's going to be our #1 probiotic. Well, they have to convert those customers really, really quickly, because that's a pretty drastic shift, not only for the customers, but that's a huge amount of money that was being funneled to this one brand that now they almost have to buy from the customer and buy to Vital Planet. So what they did was they did 3 months in a row of crazy promotions, BOGO freeze, BOGO 50s, back to back to back. And it worked. It was scary, but it worked. So before they did that promotion, those 3 promotions, they did about $2,800 in sales. By September, 3 months later, they were doing $8,300 in Vital Planet sales alone. And over the last year, they have not dipped below $7,500, and in fact have hit record-breaking $15,000, $16,000 months multiple times in the last 12 months. And you know, even though we don't really recommend in a normal situation to do 3 months in a row of promos, you know, we're typically looking at 3-4 times a year spread out, you know, quarterly, or every 4 months. In this case, to make this brand swap, we took a different approach and we're much more aggressive and tried this short-term crazy deal to get people used to the product, get them interested in switching, and made it super easy for them to do that. And then they saw that the quality was there. And even if the price was maybe a little bit more, once it was off, no longer on sale, they were very, very happy with the results that they had. So again, a lot of it's coming down to how you or your staff is educating your customers, how you're educating them, what support you're providing for them so that they can easily make that sale and help that customer switch from the product that you no longer want to have in your stores to ones that you really, really believe in.
Yeah, so just going back to some best practices when you're doing a brand swap, first is, are you the trusted advisor for health and wellness in your community? And if you're not, it's going to take a much longer time. So you're just setting expectations for yourself. If you haven't been known to give that consultative approach, or people just don't know that you do that yet, if it's not in your marketing materials and you're not sharing that message regularly, then that's something you're going to have to overcome a little bit longer of a time for a brand swap to take place. The other thing to do is that when you make a switch, you can talk about it. This is something that people feel a little bit nervous about, but we have a great example here from Ed at Nutrition World.
Nutrition World had to remove Bragg's liquid vinegar from the store. When I opened my store in 1979, one of the mainstays was Bragg's vinegar in the bottle with the mother, made for about 100+ years. Unbelievable as far as anecdotal, and now research has shown that vinegar had so many health benefits, but we pulled it. We pulled it from the store shelves of Nutrition World. Why is that? They sold out to a capital investment company, and I've been in this industry, like I said, 45 years. 95% of all companies who were homegrown, who built a wonderful business on ethics and fantastic quality, it almost always decreases within the first 2 years of that capital company buying it. and the Digger Brags. I'm so disappointed. Customers were telling us constantly, it looks different, it tastes different, it's lighter, it doesn't have the same benefit. I wasn't feeling as good. So we've replaced it with two that we know that have the quality at this point. Cadia, we dealt with them for many years, and Soul Spring, which is actually part of Dr. McCullough's organization, and I use their olive oil. It's amazing. So please forgive us if you come in and you're like, "Yeah, damn it, where's Bragg? I'll go somewhere else and buy it." I'm just telling you, if you ever try this, or if you ever had an old bottle of Bragg and you compared it, it's not the same. It's terrible how the big business doesn't seem to line themselves up with the ethics of the homegrown Paul Bragg, their daughter, Miss Bragg, who died recently, I think. But I knew Paul Bragg from the early days in the 70s and 80s. Amazing individual. I think he lived about 90 something. But we have had to remove it, and that's the reason. Thank you.
So I apologize that that video was not available. It's showing on my screen over here. Amanda says you can't see it, but hopefully you heard the message. And we will send out that YouTube link in the email that follows the webinar so that you can see the video for yourself. Ed did it right there on his floor, and you could hear the background noise that was happening there. And he does videos like that all the time, but he had no problem letting people know that he no longer aligns with Bragg, with that apple cider vinegar. And as you can imagine, that is a very in-demand product. And he just said no. He first listened to his customers saying it's not the same as it used to be. He was on the lookout for it because he was aware that they had been acquired. And then as soon as he started hearing that feedback, he made the switch. And then he was not afraid to say it out loud and to tell everyone why. And because they are the trusted advisor, their e-commerce sales on these products have gone through the roof. And this video has been shared by a lot of influencers, and it's also been on the news in their area. So people are talking about the good things that Ed's doing by protecting his own brand and protecting the consumers that are in his store. And while some of you might think that you're going to hear a lot of people pounding their fists about, hey, we don't have what we want anymore, what he's heard instead is, oh my gosh, thank you for taking that out of your store, because we believe in you, Ed, and Nutrition World versus we believe in a specific brand. So again, going back to that trusted advisor, and it's okay to talk about it. And they've sent things out in email and put it on social media, obviously. So they're not afraid to have these conversations. Shelf placement, we've talked about promos and the incentives. Just to highlight again, we typically don't advise doing big promos and incentives more than 3 to 4 times a year, because you don't want to train your customers that they could just wait for a lower price. And at the same time, this is the one exception that we would make to that rule is if you're doing a brand swap, do 3 months or 4 months at the time until you get people moved over. And I think Brian Sensenbrenner was the first person that told us about this, but if there's 1 or 2 loyal customers, even a handful of them that are coming in for that same product over and over again, do not give up your shelf space just to make them happy. Put it in a back storage unit. And when they come in, you can be like, yes, we have your, this, whatever product it is, and pull it out at that point. But you don't have to give up your shelf space for that. Consumer education and employee education we talked about, but employee samples, like providing samples for the employees, is a huge way to grow the loyalty and then for them to be evangelists on your behalf within your store. And offering samples and trials like the Gut Renew, handing out samples of that at your store, or offering trials for a lower price or free is a great way to get people to shift to another brand. And then just plan for them to take time. So like we said, it can be fast. We had that one client who ripped the Band-Aid off and did fine with it, but they were very dedicated about communicating about it and being aggressive with their promotions. And other people want to give people time to switch. And it's all about just what your philosophy is and how you want to work with your customers to make make a switch like that, because it is a big deal and it can feel scary, but it's doable and you can grow outside of it. So Now we are going to walk into our second piece here, which is just about brand promotions itself and how that can grow your business without hurting your margins. And we have a client, Betty's Health and Wellness, down in Griffin, Georgia. They're a small store, and we love working with them because they're willing to do so many things to grow their business. And they decided they would love to see growth in their store by seeing growth from Vital Planet. They believe in the product, love how Vital Planet supports the industry. And so they were like, what can we do to grow this brand while growing our store? So we started doing some activities around April and really saw some record-breaking growth within 30 days. So in May, they were up 17.8% month over month, and they doubled their revenue and their profit. So they did not really have to decrease their margin. Even though they were doing promotions in their store, they did not lose money on their profitability by doing these promotions. So that was one of the most surprising things, that even though the revenue went down a little per unit, the profitability did not suffer. So that was something that was very exciting. And then they stayed sticky. So you can see on the chart that it went down a little bit in June, which you will see if you're doing a big promotion, your numbers are going to come down a little bit, but then you'll see them creep back up, and then they'll reach a new normal as long as you've actually gotten people to either be new customers coming in to do that product or to switch over. So this has stayed sticky. And before we did this promotion, the biggest month they had was at $2,500. We got over 4,000 for 1 month. And now they've been hanging out at that $3,500, $4,000 a month level. So stayed sticky. That's how we knew we were doing the right thing. So what in the world did we do? Well, one of the things we did was a 1-day promotion. It's not the only thing, but these are the things related to that 1-day promotion that we did. We had email and text messages, and I just encourage you, if you do not use text messaging with your current clients, I would create all sorts of incentives to do that. Even doing that 1 to 2 times a month, you will see your revenue numbers skyrocket because the people are more willing to open up text. I think the rate is around 79% of texts are open versus around 30 to 40% of emails get opened. So more people will see your message coming through text message, and they really like being notified when there's a promotion, when there's an event, or when there's a new product to get excited about. So again, creating activity and reasons for people to come to the store. They also created social posts, put their event on Google My Business, which I have pictured here. This is something that probably a lot of you aren't doing. This is one of the things that we see a real dearth of people putting the events on social media. On Google My Business. And the reason this is good is that if you put it on Google My Business, it will show up in a map if people are looking for things to do in their area. It will show up in Google search if they're like, what is happening today in sunny San Diego? Wherever they are, they can look for events, and this starts to come up. Why not say what I see? Sorry, I see a question here. Why not say what the special deal is? In this particular case, I think it was, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't remember. I'm so sorry. It was May of this past year, and I don't remember why we said special deal versus 20% off. But it's a good point. The more specific that you get, the better results that you do end up getting. So Karen, I would highly encourage you to do that on your posts. But the event, this particular event got picked up by radio stations and other Facebook community pages that share like different activities that are happening in the area. And so that's another reason that it's good to post on Google My Business. And we would suggest that you post there once or maybe twice a week. And it really makes the algorithm very happy for you to do that, to be served up in Google searches and on Google Maps. We also added an entire event section to Betty's website so that customers who are familiar with their website can go there and see events anytime they want, like what's coming up this week, this month, this day. And those show up on an events tab on their website, super easy to find, also very searchable for search engines. Sandwich board poster. So the sandwich board, to pull that traffic in off the sidewalk, this is one of those techniques that Brenda was talking about during our podcast episode with her. That is highly effective. It brings more foot traffic in your store. They also had a register sign. So just in case you're there, but you didn't go down that aisle, there's something at the register to remind you that this is happening today. And then in-store television screens, that's happening overhead as people are shopping. They can see that you're having a specific deal or promotion that day. The other things that we did were brand related workshops. We did a whole workshop related to cleansing for the summer. And then they actually had a Vital Planet rep come in and do gut checks in the aisles with the customers and then point them to the right product. And now they're getting their team trained on how to do that themselves, because this was a huge draw into the store. People were asking if they could schedule an appointment for these, and they were like, no, just come in. You can get the gut check whenever you're here. So people were excited about getting a gut check, and now their employees are learning how to do that as well. Category product page on their website featuring the brand products, and then Father's Day feature. I'm showing you here because this is a context specific product placement. So again, Karen, back to your question about why not say what the special deal is, the more specific you get, the more draw you're going to get into the store. So when people can see themselves either solving a problem or they have a scenario like that where they would use this product or service, they're more likely to buy. So when we're talking to people about, hey, buy your dad a wellness product, they have no idea what to do, but then they see a product that's formulated specifically for men, and then they're like, oh, okay, now I get it. So shopping just got easier for dad. We put videos about the product on social media, and then we had sampling days in the store as well. Again, creating another event for people to come into the store, have conversation, make purchases. And then this was during the summertime. So everything was kind of slowing down as it does. You guys have probably experienced that summer slump, but we decided not to turn down the volume of activities or communications to their clients. And so while everybody was kind of slowing down and taking a break, we were turning it up, and Vital Planet gave this great gift basket that you could end up coming into the store, and as long as you made a purchase of Vital Planet during a specific month, you got registered to win this gift basket. So we're continuing to create excitement around the brand as we go, and that helps make it super sticky for them to keep coming back again and again. And Betty's continues to grow their revenue around somewhere between 11 and 15% month over month. And they're doing that with events, in-store sampling, promos, and consistent communications through multiple channels, social media, Google My Business, emails, and text messages. And just as a reminder, growth takes time. What we saw in this specific situation was within 30 days, they had a really great revenue spike, but continuing that growth of revenue does take time. So give things 30, 60, 90 days. And again, like we were talking about with brand replacements, sometimes you have to give them 6 months to a year to fully take place. So give yourself time whenever you're doing a new marketing tactic.
Yeah, and Ashley asked in the Q&A about promos and incentives for brand swaps. So typically what we recommend, Ashley, is in a normal scenario, we would do brand promotions, line drives, 20, 30% off, whatever you guys want to do 3 to 4 times a year. So people don't get so used to that promotion. However, if you're doing a brand swap, one of the more aggressive things that you could do, as opposed to just seeing what happens over time, maybe slowly moving things to the shelf, eventually discontinuing them and so on, you could take a more aggressive approach and do a promotion for 3 months in a row, kind of maybe switch things up a little bit just to keep the customers on their toes. If you're wanting to do this more quickly, it really just depends on what your strategy is with that and how aggressive you want to be with converting those customers over to the new brand. And as far as your questioning for samples, they are doing both active and passive samples. So both are both are recommended. It really just depends on your staffing and what you're able to do, but I would recommend as many active samples as you could do, the better, and make it a big deal. Make it something that you talk about in emails, on social media, and so on, to create that excitement in your store. So the last thing that we want to talk about as far as growing in 2025 is considering new categories that you can grow in. And when Tina talked about being the trusted advisor in your community, I truly, truly believe that if you have that position in your community, where people look to you for their health and wellness needs, and you are the expert for that, adding in new categories that you are passionate about, and really want to get behind just becomes that much easier. And really and truly, it only takes one staff person that you really believe in and is passionate to get this off the ground. And I've seen that happen with pet in particular, as well as other categories, whether it be mom and baby, or just really diving into digestion or whatever it is, new services. Sometimes you just need someone that's super passionate that wants to carry that torch for your company. But if you have that position of authority, people are already looking to you for all the things and want you to be that resource for them. So if you say, hey, we are behind this, it makes it a lot easier to start something new. So I want to talk to you about this one store that has grown their pet department to over $600,000 annually. And it took time. Like Tina said, the growth takes time, and this story is no different. It's been over the course of 5 years. And when this store started their pet department in July of 2019, it was a very small set, and it took a few months to kind of pull the trigger to make this actually happen. And when they started, it was a few supplements, a few treats. They gave up some very valuable freezer space to have some dog food. But when they first started, they did $2,600 the first month, and we all felt pretty good about that until we didn't. And the reason why is because the sales did not move for 4 months. We were stuck on that plateau. And the owner of the store was very, very frustrated because we had invested all this time and money. We have an employee that this is basically her full-time job, is just working on pet. And we're like, this doesn't justify the salary we're paying her and all of this stuff. Anyway, we were able to talk him off the ledge in just pulling the plug on the pet department as a whole, because with all things in marketing, it takes time. And we really like to give things 6 to 12 months before we can really make an accurate assessment of what that ROI truly is. So we agreed to be patient and keep trying different marketing tactics along the way to see if we could increase those sales. And within 12 months, we were doing about $8,000 a month in pet sales. And so we got really excited about that, and because what we were doing was working. So we tried to figure out how we could just turn up the volume and become even more loud about our marketing of the pet department. And so we also increased the square footage because demand was increasing. And that photo that you saw before was definitely not what it looked like then. That's what it looks like now. So we started off small and built our way up. But different things that we did during that time to get it where it is today. We invested time and energy into pet specific marketing campaigns, whether it be email, social media, events. We had, pet wellness fairs. We had bring your dog to take a picture with Santa, which was super, super fun. We partnered with a local pet adoption company to do pet adoption, just a lot of really exciting things. And as things keep working, we keep fine tuning. We found that when we would email the large email list about anything pet related, our open rates were not that great. But when we segmented our audience and only emailed people that had purchased pet products, our open rates were almost double that of our standard email. So we just started dialing into segmented emails, and then left the large email list for stuff that was a little bit more broad, like these events. And the real secret here, and Tina mentioned this with the customer journey, is these referrals, finding referral partners that can be your boots on the ground, be your marketing mouthpieces for you so that you can reach people that you never would have been able to reach on your own. And people that we were able to find to grow the pet department were a holistic vet, dog trainers, dog walkers, finding restaurants in town where you could bring your dog and have a beer and get to know people in the community. And what we were finding is that we were getting a lot of people coming in from these other businesses that we never would have had access to before. And it was because we made those relationships, put in the effort to get plugged in with the community and find these people. And what ended up happening was people that would come in specifically for pet started buying products for themselves, and vice versa. People that had only ever shopped in that store for themselves were now buying for their pets, or telling their friends that had pets that this is the place to go to. And again, just continuing to add more advanced marketing tactics over time through the website, through SEO, hub pages, things like that. We can get very technical. But what that resulted in is now $50,000, $65,000 month over month sales. And it's absolutely incredible. And you might be thinking, well, that's great for them. But I don't have that square footage, or I'm not ready to pull that trigger. You can start very small and still do really well. And that's what this store did. They started small and worked their way up as the demand increased, and still maintained their identity as the store that they've always been. But now they had this exciting new department. And I actually was talking with a retailer that has a very small pet section. And it's actually not even close to where their staff are in the scope of the store. And they're doing $800 to $1,000 a month just in the Vital Planet pet products. And I asked the retailer, I said, so you're not marketing it, you're not having it near any of where your staff are located in the store, and you're still doing pretty good numbers for not trying. Like, what would happen if you tried? And the retailer kind of just laughed and said, I know it would be more. And so, we'll see what happens if we can work them to start moving the needle with their marketing on their pet products. But the demand is there, and I'm actually going to just throw it over to the Vital Planet team to show you the exciting opportunity there is in this pet wellness category, and why we think that it's definitely worth considering.
Thank you, Amanda. Much appreciated. So yeah, as most of you probably know, Vital Planet's pretty darn excited about pet stuff. When we got started here back in 2015, all the way through 2019, all we did was high quality premium therapeutic supplements for dogs and cats. Now we have dogs and cats and birds and chickens and horses, believe it or not. So if any of you are backyard chicken people, let us know. But this is a really exciting business opportunity, especially for the natural channel that Brenda and Stan and I kind of identified early on as we were leaving Renew Life and kind of figuring out where the path was going to take us. We really felt like pets in general were underserved in terms of the available quality in natural solutions for health conditions. And we know that the very same health conditions that plague people also plague our animals. And guess what? The very same natural solutions that help us deal with those issues will also help our pets. But unfortunately, the majority of products that are out there in the pet industry are owned by people like Nestle, Purina, Mars. Isn't it interesting that the big chocolate companies also own all the animal food and feed? It's kind of interesting. But if you think about the quality that we're feeding our animals or that we're supplementing them with, it's very, very poor. It pales in comparison to what's available for human consumption in the supplement market. What we know is that lots of people own animals. I bet if we could see hands on this call, that 6 or 7 out of every 10 people would raise their hand if we said, who owns a dog or a cat? And statistically, that rings true throughout the country. About 6 or 7 out of every 10 Americans have a dog or a cat or both. And they are spending a lot of money. There's about 150 billion spent every single year on pet food, pet treats, pet services, vet services, et cetera. So this is a very large category. To put that in perspective, the entire natural and organic product industry, which includes not only supplements, but all of the foods, all of the beverages, everything that we sell as a natural products industry, is about 200 billion. So you've got $150 billion pet industry. So kind of similar in size to the entire industry that we are all focused on. And pet owners are spending a lot of money. They're spending a couple $100s a month, most of that recurring expense. So that's going to be their food, their treats, their vet visits, all of those things. And pet supplements are a relatively small piece of the pet market at about $1 billion per year, but it is one of the fastest growing areas. And so when you look at growth across all the various segments in the pet industry, the pet supplement category is growing kind of low double digits, right in that 10% range on a pretty large base. And so that's kind of projected to continue into the future, into beyond 2030 for sure. Next slide, Amanda. So here's what's kind of driving that. So obviously, you know, when COVID hit, pet ownership really skyrocketed. It actually had plateaued for some period of time, and people were kind of trading. What we saw is we started to see ownership of large animals decrease, and we saw the biggest increase in ownership of smaller sized animals. And what we're really linking that to is the fact that there's this major shift in, from a consumer perspective, where they're shifting towards natural and organic, paleo, grain-free foods. Well, guess what? Those foods are more expensive. So as the consumer was beginning to kind of become aware that they needed to begin to feed their animals higher quality foods, they realized that to do that, that's a little bit more costly. So that resulted in a transition from larger dogs to smaller dogs. And so what's really driving the trend that's creating this growth in organic and natural and grain-free foods is what's called pet humanization. So as people, we tend to project on our animals the very same things that we're dealing with. So guess what? I'm gluten-free and dairy-free, and you'll never believe it, but Gracie and Josie are also gluten-free and dairy-free. So because that's the way I live, my dogs also live that way. And occasionally they'll go through like a month at a time of keto because that's just what I do. So they also get that too. So, but that pet humanization is a very, very real thing. And so when you see trends occur in whether it's food or supplementation, you know, big spike in probiotics that was happening, you know, between 2010 and 2015. And by the way, it's starting to kind of come back and spike again. If you fast forward 5 to 7 years from any sort of trend that you witness in the human market, you see that start to take hold in the pet market. And so what we're seeing is a lot of growth in pet probiotics, pet digestive products. You know, of course, hip and joint, that's a very large product category in pet. So most of the big categories that we have in human, probiotics, omega-3 oils, glucosamine chondroitin, those are also the same categories that are really driving pet. And so when you think about the fact that 7 out of 10 of your consumers walking through the door have a dog or a cat or both, to me, that screams opportunity. But and many of you may have, you know, a pet section today. I have spoken with a number of retailers that admittedly aren't incredibly proud of their pet section. You know, they joke about it sort of being in the back of the store at the mop line, gathering dust, and it doesn't get a lot of focus. But of all categories that would benefit from something in the store shouting, hey, we sell this, it would be pet, considering how underdeveloped it is in health food stores and natural product stores, and considering the fact that such a large percentage of your customer base have animals, and they're also already over that hurdle of education and believing in natural products. It's really ideally suited for the health food industry to begin participating in this really large and growing category. If you think about vitamins, minerals, and supplements, about a third of that business in the US is sold through health food stores and natural product stores. Contrast that to pet supplements, and it's about 1%. It makes no sense to me that consumers that are looking for natural wellness and supplements for any member of the family, whether that's the 2-legged or 4-legged variety, that they would not be getting the same percentage of those products through natural product stores that they are for human solutions. And so an opportunity for our industry is to begin to get behind the pet category, creating awareness, we offer this program, which is what we call our Pet Care Center. CARE is an acronym that stands for Consumer and Retailer Education. This is a metal, really high quality unit on wheels. So you can kind of move it around. You can find an area in the store that works for you. We recommend putting it near your human supplements because we joke about, the fact that pets don't actually have credit cards, it's the people. So if you can speak to those consumers that are coming in and shopping your vitamin set and let them know, hey, we've got these same solutions for your animals. It's a great unit to place near your vitamin section. It's full of education and it's merchandised by condition. And one of the things we've learned over the years is, most people don't wake up and say, hey, today I need to go find a solution for my dog's anxiety, right? So it's not always top of mind, but if they walk into your store and they see this Natural Pet Care Center and they see there's a sign there that says stress support, that's the kind of trigger oftentimes that they need to make that purchasing decision and start to realize that, the natural products industry is a destination for the highest quality pet solutions. And that's what this kind of pet care center can offer for you. So that's kind of our word on the pet program. Pass it back over to Amanda and Tina.
Yeah, and just as a side note here, and if you guys want to hop in and say anything else around what you're willing to do to support the industry, there's product education, the center displays, the consumer education magazines. You guys have the best-selling books. You've got these dedicated education teams like you were talking about. You can call people up while you're on the floor, and then 90-day sell-through guarantees. This is some of the strongest support of the independent retailer that we have seen from anyone who participates in this industry. And I think anyone who's on this phone call is aware of that. But just you have all these resources. If you currently sell Vital Planet, this is available for you. And if you don't, now's the time to start working with Vital Planet because they are here to help you grow. And one of the things that we just want to end with is the power of community coming together, both from the retailers, manufacturers, and the practitioners in this industry. When we bind together for success, it's this rising tide lifts all ships. So when you win, we win. When the manufacturers win, you win, the customer wins, and we can create these kinds of opportunities together. And one of the beautiful things about community is that there are places that are your stores that people want to come and break bread together and have conversation together and see someone they know when they come into your store. And you creating events and activities like that to bring them in is how you become that trusted advisor and that place for community. People are looking for it everywhere. And I'll tell you how I know this to be true. First, there's some statistics and research showing that our churches and places where we used to congregate are in decline, but people are starving for this type of a place to participate in their community around them. And on top of that, we know that there is a cost of staying in survival mode and not providing things like community for the people around you. And the reason I say that is in September of this year, national retail sales were down by 0.28%, which made it a kind of a soft September for most of you guys in your stores. There was a store that we were working with that got trapped in survival mode because they had these situations like an air conditioner needing to be replaced and a new employee, those kinds of things that pulled them out of growth mode. So they didn't do any events. They didn't do sampling in their stores. There were things that were just not happening. And for September, they were down 18%. So sometimes when you think you're going to disengage and go into survival mode, you end up going backward in your growth versus just leaving growth on the table. You end up going backwards. There is a cost for not being engaged with your community in a retail store. So what we're saying to you is don't let air conditioners and problems like that keep you on the survival path. Make plans to thrive in 2025. And everyone here on this call today is here to help you do that. There are industry resources, Infra and Simpa, and all of these people that are willing to help you thrive in 2025. And we have a couple of opportunities for you as well. The first is that you can have free resources, and we will email these out to you so that you have them afterward. But you get things like a marketing calendar, calendar, social media templates, email templates, and more. If you want to grab this QR code that's on the screen right now, it will take you right to those resources that you can engage with and change out the colors and change out your brand and use them today. And then second, Vital Planet is so invested in your ability to grow that they have very generously offered to pay for 50% of our services as we provide a 90-day marketing plan of action for you while doing your marketing for you. So if you want to engage with us in that way, you can take a snapshot of the QR code that's on the screen now, have a 30-minute consultation to see if you qualify, and then talk about what the details of what that means. And you might be wondering, what would I need to qualify for? Well, first, you would need to be working with Vital Planet. Second, there are a number of products that we want to make sure are in your store because we know those perform best in the retail setting and prepare you best for growth. And then third, you have to be a willing participant. It'll take your time meeting with us, and we'll need things provided to us like access to your systems and your revenue reporting, and also so that we can do our work, and also getting us assets like photos and things in the store. So if you're interested in having this very generous offer from Vital Planet and working with us for a 90-day period to see if we can boost your growth and get you ready to have your best year ever in 2025, take a snapshot of that QR code and schedule a consult with us. And we are always here to answer any questions. If there were things that we addressed today that we didn't have time for questions from you, please feel free to reach out via email to us, or again, schedule a 30-minute consult. It's completely free, and we're happy to answer questions that might have bubbled up as a result of this webinar. Karen is asking, is the presentation available to share? It's not available to share. And this is because it's exclusively with an opportunity with Vital Planet, and also it has some of our customer information on it. So we don't want this going out everywhere, but we might allow it for a period of time, have a recorded version of that so that you can access it again. And we'll talk with Vital Planet just to see if we can offer that to you over the next week or so. But thank you, Karen, for asking that. But again, if you want particular information from the presentation, please do feel free to schedule a 30-minute consult with us, and we'll be happy to chat with you. Anything else as we're closing out this? Just so thankful to Vital Planet for supporting you guys and also allowing us to have this opportunity to talk to you about thriving in 2025.
Any parting words?
The only thing I have to say in wrapping this up is, for the independent retailer out there, don't sell yourself short, you know, in your stores. I mean, I look at it sometimes in going into the stores and understanding that, you know, whether you've got brands in there who no longer support you, there's sometimes some reluctance, and, you know, it does take some work to find other brands. I mean, for sure. And you've got to be on the ball to do that. But the point is, a lot of most of your customers coming in there rely on you. And when you say something to them or you teach them something and you create that trust relationship, don't be afraid to say what's going on in the marketplace, because we're all dealing with it. And so I want you to know that don't sell yourself short. When something's wrong in your store or a brand doesn't serve you anymore, just say it. We get better results with people when we're vulnerable and when we show ourselves to them. So you've got a lot of opportunity to grow a business and help others. And that's really why the independent retailer is there and why we're here at Vital Planet. So that's just my parting words to you guys out there. You're very trusted, and own that.
Thank you, Tina and
Thank
Amanda,
you.
so much. We appreciate everything you shared, and we're super excited to be working with you.
Yeah, we're excited too. Thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.